Right now, when someone asks ChatGPT or Claude about the problem your brand solves, there is a very big chance it's pulling from LinkedIn content. And the stuff it pulls from are not just the typical LinkedIn posts, but articles. Yes, the long ones, which is a little bit funny because almost nobody in B2B is doing them. So today I'm going to show you how to write a LinkedIn article that an actual buyer and the LLMs they are asking both end up pointing at you. Before the how, though, I think it is worth understanding why this is even something that works right now. Because a few years ago, no one was paying attention to LinkedIn articles. Truth is, for a long time, LinkedIn articles were kind of pointless because the feed was not promoting it, right? So the algorithm kind of ignored them, which meant people started paying attention, which is fair. Everyone put their energy into posts because that's what the feed rewards, and it seems like people also want to see more of it. So I did too, we did too for our clients. Then some things happen, and now buyers are basically doing a big part of research inside AI, right? Before they ever speak with anyone on your sales team. And like I said, AI is apparently leaning a lot on LinkedIn articles to then rank and feed the answers that they give to us. So essentially, you can post a LinkedIn article and it will keep working months and months ahead for you, because once it's cited, it's being, of course, cited in multiple answers to multiple buyers. And then the article keeps paying you back in other ways, because once you do an article, you can pull different sections apart and plan weeks of shorter posts. You can turn it into a newsletter or even a deck or a YouTube video. So no, none of this replaces regular posts and building an audience, staying engaged with your audience, building reach, seeing which ideas resonate, right? This all still matters to the same extent. But articles are now the layer that you add on top. They get you cited where buyers now research, and they also give you more room to take a position instead of firing off a quick take now and then. And that's also what makes a buyer seriously consider your brand. So it helps you set apart from everyone else in the space because you are owning more depth in the takes that you're posting. But again, it's not posts or articles, it's posts plus the layer that nobody's touched yet. And before we even start with our LinkedIn article, let me tell you this, your article does not need to go viral, because the LinkedIn content that AI cites the most averages on just 15 to 25 reactions. That's not a lot. And for example, I got one article with just 2,000 impressions, which is not a lot for the size of my audience. And instead of classifying it as a flop, I was able to attract a very qualified lead because of that article. And I know this because she told me exactly that she read the article on our first call. Okay, but how do you go about actually creating a LinkedIn article that gets you cited and builds connection with your ideal buyers? Well, the biggest mistake is treating a LinkedIn article like a LinkedIn post, just bigger. It is not the same thing. A citable article actually has a shape to it, and it is a long-form piece after all. It's not just a short post, but extended. So I'll walk you through it in 6 simple steps. And to make it even more practical, let's pretend we are running a software tool in the customer onboarding space. So let's build this together. Part 1 is the hook. And you essentially start by naming a problem in your words or your buyer's words, and not the version that seems to work on the LinkedIn feed. Because sometimes these are different in the matter that one needs to be short and punchy and viral, the other probably needs a little bit more depth. And this matters a lot because the way you frame the problem is essentially what AI is learning and will then echo back or cite back. So if you frame it like everyone else and you just blend in, the model just, will cite whoever already said that in the past. In our example, we could say, well, most SaaS teams treat churn as a product problem. It is not, because users tend to leave before they ever reach the value of the product. So now you've said something that a buyer can repeat and an AI model can trace back to you. So now let's start about part 2, which are the stakes. You need to give the reader, the buyer, a reason why this matters now. Like, what changed? What does it cost? Why is this urgent? This is where you kind of drop your first real number that builds that urgency. So, for example, buyers now judge your onboarding process before they ever book a demo, which is crazy, but this is backed by, and then you kind of pointed to a reputable source or your own internal data. The reason why this matters is Princeton tested 9 ways to get your content picked up in AI search. The 3 things that matter the most were quoting credible people, citing sources, and using real numbers. So this is the reason why we basically have to make a deliberate choice to bring this to our article, because they can increase visibility by up to 40%. Of course, keyword stuffing did nothing, so just don't do it. In part 3, we're basically bringing the approach. We're naming the method or the strategy that we are creating. Truth is, we're never going to out-opinion an AI that has written everything that pretty much was published. But this AI likely does not have your framework or your strategy. So you want to coin something. You want to coin a strategy that AI can then cite back and attribute it to you and your brand. In our example, we could say something, I call it the first win framework. Find the one action that equals value and then strip every step before it. Part 4 is the proof, where we bring credible data. A buyer that is about to sign a 5 or 6 figure deal is not looking at a clever line or a hook. They want to see that that product, that approach worked. So rather than just saying it, try to show it from previous examples and case studies. In our example, we could say that one team was able to cut onboarding from 11 steps to just 3. And so 30-day churn dropped from 80 to 12%. A crucial thing is to honestly own and use numbers rather than just adjectives, right? So if you say industry leading, that means nothing. When you say churn went down from 18 to 12, well, that brings a certain concreteness that buyers are able to picture and imagine the value that that would bring for their own company. Now, for part 5, we want to focus on the shift. Essentially, you want to close your main point on the one thing you want them to do differently or that you suggest them to do differently. In our case, we could say, well, rather than measuring feature adoption, measure time to first win or time to value. That could be one option of kind of wrapping up the article with a suggestion. And this is the line that hopefully AI cites, and of course your buyers also remember. And they will tend to associate your brand with a clear point of view and associate you with the shift that is necessary if you want to make more success in, whatever category you are serving. And finally, part 6, you have your call to action. So you've earned some trust with real depth. Now you can ask for one thing, and really just one thing. Be clear, be specific, point them to a single next step. That could be a resource, that could be a demo call, that could be a newsletter. The cool thing is, do it now because you've built a lot of depth, and it's totally fine in a long form article to have a call to action. In our example, we could have something like, grab the free template to map your own first win. And if you want this template for free, you can grab it in the description below, the first link. It is free, and it might help you to then put all of this together into an article. So you just follow these 6 parts, and basically a buyer is able to respect and trust you, and a model is able to cite you. Now, writing one good article is the easy part. The hard part is doing it over and over again, week after week in your CEO's voice or in an executive voice without it turning into a second full-time job or burning your marketing leader's team with LinkedIn articles. And this is an entire different problem that we have not solved in this video. So I broke down how to keep that cadence without burning your founders out or really burning out the initiative in this video. So you might want to check it out next.